for districts across Wisconsin this fall. For many students, being back at school means finding a daily routine again, and for others, it's also a chance to finish up their degree and land a job in their desired field.
Local 5's Calvin Lewis joins us live from NWTC to tell us how one student is doing just that. Calvin.
Well, Shelley, Caitlin, good morning. One of those more popular programs here at NWTC include the nursing program. And there was a lot of uncertainty heading into this fall semester, but there was also a lot of focus on the hands-on and in-person learning when they planned on going back to school. Now, I got to speak to one of those students in the nursing program, and this is what she had to say.
The school is doing a wonderful job trying to make sure we're really comfortable and, receiving the same information we would if we were in person.
At NWTC, the school year has resumed. For nursing student Lexi Rentmeester, it's her final semester before graduating. This year is a little different, consisting of both an in-person simulation lab as well as online learning.
It's the only way that I can finish school, so I'm okay with whatever way I have to do it to finish school. But I'm just really excited and happy that we were allowed to go back to the hospitals for clinical, especially the last clinical. I really did want to get hands-on a patient, to make sure that I'm comfortable and everything before I graduate, because I wouldn't want to graduate if I wasn't comfortable.
Half of the students are allowed to go to their clinical site, while the rest engage in the socially distant simulation lab on campus. While there have been some setbacks, NWTC's nursing program is highly regarded as one of the most sought after in the area.
When students graduate from our nursing program, they get the exact same jobs initially as someone who would graduate from a four-year program. So in terms of quality, in terms of what the outcome is for the student, it's a really great option to be here.
Despite this year being a little more challenging than those previous, Rentmeester says she was ready to come back to school.
You're not as totally nervous if you make a mistake here. You would rather do it here than at the clinical site, so it is actually beneficial, especially leaving after this semester and going out to the workforce. It's good to get all the kinks and everything out here before going to the hospital.
And Lexi tells me she's already got a job lined up as an RN at Bellin Hospital once completing her semester here in the fall. And she also told me she intends to go back to finish her bachelor's degree as well as a master's degree. Now, the discussion of back to school continues tomorrow. We'll be taking a look at fall sports and their impact on some local schools. For now, reporting live in Green Bay, Calvin Lewis, Local 5 This Morning.
Thank you, Calvin. Well, the coronavirus pandemic has changed the way universities and colleges are teaching students. Professors have to effectively educate students while keeping everyone safe. Joining us now is Professor David Velker, who is a professor of humanities and history at the University of Wisconsin, Green Bay. Now, UWGB is a mix of in-class and virtual learning. Are most classes virtual?
I think most classes probably are online. I don't have those exact numbers. If we have more than 40 or 50 students, we don't have space to physically distance, but there are definitely some smaller classes that are face-to-face. There's science labs, some studio classes where we really need a physical presence from students.
Now, are all your classes virtual?
All my classes are online, yes.
Okay, how has your teaching changed due to the pandemic?
Well, when I designed my classes for this fall, I really wanted to have as many meaningful interactions among students. I wanted to make sure that they felt really connected with a learning community rather than feeling like they were just on their own with their computer. So I have some smaller classes with 20 or 25 students, and we meet together virtually using Zoom. And I do lecture a little bit in those classes, but we spend most of the class kind of moving back and forth between small breakout discussions and whole class discussions. I have a larger class, and the students there don't meet, but they do have, every week we have online discussions, so they're interacting regularly. They also get to watch some screencast lectures that I created and, of course, read course materials and such using our online learning platform.
Very quickly, can you tell us how is it working with these changes? Is it effective?
I think it's going really well. I mean, the screen time is hard for everybody, but I've seen some really great interaction among students, both in the online discussion forums and in the virtual classroom. Students really are participating and engaging well.
All right, thank you so much for joining us today, Professor Velker.
My pleasure. Thanks.
And so now that school's in, for lots of young adults, college may be the time of your life. But like with everything, things have changed during the pandemic. Here are 5 ways that college has changed now that school is in. So you're excited to be back on campus now that the fall semester is underway at colleges across northeast Wisconsin. But what exactly does on-campus housing look like? Marian University in Fond du Lac welcomes students back for face-to-face learning, but with safety measures in place. Dorm rooms are limited to 2 students per room, and all students are required to wear face masks when outside of their rooms. Virtual learning is typically an option for college students. However, in the age of COVID-19, it can unexpectedly become the norm. The University of Wisconsin-Madison is in a unique situation. It's completely virtual until September 25th, and that's because of a spike in coronavirus cases. So the university has expanded on-campus testing. It's now a daily requirement for fraternity and sorority members. They've also shifted campus dining to takeout only for students living in the dorms. And with the hybrid model, where can you study on campus? At the University of Wisconsin-Green Bay, the Cochran Library has limited hours, but they do have 3 floors available for students to study. There are 27 rooms that can be rented out with priority given to students depending on class schedule. As is always the case for college students, time management is key no matter which way you're learning this semester. Whether your time on campus is limited due to social distancing or you're studying completely from home, make sure you have a secure study space and make the most of your time. And self-care. Universities continue to offer online resources to students and staff for ways to keep your physical and mental health in check during these stressful times. And that's what you need to know now that school is in for the semester. Tune in tomorrow when we see how extracurricular activities have adapted during the pandemic. Stick with us. Ryan has your forecast coming up after the break.
Your stories, our community. This is Local 5 News with Shelley Boton, Caitlin Corbett, and meteorologist Brian Morse.
Good morning and thanks for waking up with us here on Local 5. It is a brisk Thursday morning start, a little bit cooler than we've had the past few days.
Yeah, so you're going to want to grab that jacket when you leave the house. But will it get any warmer, Ryan?
Well, it will eventually get warmer next week, so that's a good news. So don't get too down over the next 2 days. Here's what we're dealing with on radar and satellite right now. We had that cold front pass through the region, and now we're dealing with that north-northeast wind, which is really starting to give us those cooler temperatures. We're running about 15 degrees below normal. Here's the low temperatures we saw overnight, many of us in the 40s, slightly warmer along the lakeshore. Now, as we get into tonight, we're going to see temperatures even get a little bit cooler, and we'll see that wind out of the north-northeast remain at 5 to 10 miles an hour. Then I'll let you know when we warm up in the full forecast.
Thank you, Ryan. Turning now to a developing story in New Holstein, where the city's mayor is hoping to make a big change in enforcing the law in his community.
Now, this is not a defunding situation. The current option on the table is consolidating the New Holstein Police Department with the County Sheriff's Department in order to save on overhead costs and provide a wider range of services. The mayor says the population of the city has been going down steadily since the 90s, so they have to come up with ways to cut costs without cutting the quality of service.
What we wanted was, I wanted 24-hour coverage, dedicated officers, meaning they were assigned to New Holstein, and that the officers that are currently within the Holstein Police Department would get a square shot with the Sheriff's Department. So they would basically be consolidating our department into theirs. The level of service would be the same. The only thing you would notice would be a different color of uniforms and different colors of squads.
Now, the mayor says this plan will save the taxpayers in New Holstein about $1 million over 5 years.
In Oconto County, a man was arrested for pulling over drivers while acting as a first responder or firefighter. This follows a September 11th call to police of a suspicious vehicle on County Road J in the town of Lena. The suspect was driving a pickup truck with an amber strobe light on the top, but had no front grille and a ratchet strap holding the bumper on. The Oconto County Sheriff's Office tells Local 5 News that a 28-year-old Oconto Falls man was taken into custody. There is no word yet on the exact charges.
Well, this month we are proud to celebrate Hispanic heritage here on Local 5. And this morning we learned about one artist who has an eye for the details.
Local 5 News is proud to celebrate Hispanic Heritage Month, which started on September 15th and continues through October 15th. We're committing special time to highlight Hispanics, Latinos, and indigenous people and culture, making an impact around the country and here in our own backyard. This morning, the incredible images by artist Jose Juan Alvarez, where details really do matter.
Pyrography is a slow process. There are pieces that can take from 1 week to some that take more than 3 to 4 months.
Born in Michoacan, Mexico, Jose Juan Alvarez, also known by his artistic name Huichohuacari, meaning wet dog in his native language Purépecha, says his love for pre-Hispanic art started at a young age.
At the age of 5, I did my first pencil drawing.
Alvarez has lived in the city of Farmersville for more than 30 years and has devoted 20 of those years to pyrography, the art of making images on wood by burning it. Self-taught, Alvarez has created more than 250 pieces of art showcasing the history and culture of many indigenous groups of Mexico in his own backyard.
At school, they teach us about some cultures, such as the Mexicas and the Mayans, but in Mexico. There are more than 60 indigenous groups.
Although the pandemic has caused for his art exhibits to be postponed, Alvarez says he has found another way to educate his community about the indigenous cultures by writing a book.
I realized if I can communicate the indigenous culture through art, why not do it through writing?
Alvarez says he hopes his art will motivate others to learn about their culture, especially the younger generation.
I've participated at many schools, and the students get amazed by the pre-Hispanic art. And many tell me they want to do the same when they grow up, and that motivates me to keep on going.
And we are just beginning the celebration. Look for our reports all week long, and we'll also have a special report coming up September 21st at 6:30 p.m. with artists and movers and shakers who call Northeast Wisconsin home but proudly represent Hispanic culture. I'm Michelle McCormack, Local 5 News.
Thank you, Michelle. And check back with Local 5 on air and online throughout the month to catch all the special stories this month.
Well, temperatures begin the steady climb today. High temperature around 60 degrees. We're also going to be dealing with partly cloudy skies, some breaks of sunshine up in the Northwoods. Then temperatures start to decrease overnight. And I really hate to say this, but we're going to drop into the 30s for most.
That's cold.
I hate to hear that. Well, we've been talking about it all week. School looks very different this year.
Coming up on Local 5 this morning, we will take a look at how college students and professors are adapting to changes brought on by the pandemic.
And we're live in Green Bay this morning outside NWTC talking about that look inside the classroom. We'll be talking to one of those students here coming up shortly.
You're watching Local 5 News with Shelley Boton and Caitlin Corbett.